Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This presentation is about the banking of questions. And in this presentation, I am going to introduce the concept. Then I am going to discuss the banking of questions in Moodle. And finally, I am going to discuss the banking of questions in the assessment suite exam view. As educators know, the practice of electronic question banking has been around for quite some time. Many decades, teachers are using electronic question banking. Many assessment suites like ExamView and Question Mark and etc. They have banking features within the suite. And learning management systems also have this utility inside the learning management system as part of the assessment aspect of the learning management system. Now, question banking has got many benefits and many features that are of interest to educators. For example, it is easier to use questions from an exam bank. If you type them each time or you even copy them and paste them from a Word file, it is not that easy, but it is easier when you use a question banking app or application or software. Also, in question banking applications and utilities, you can classify the questions, and the questions can be classified in so many ways. In questions used in medical schools, you can classify the system to which the question is related. You can classify the domain of learning. You can classify the level expected, the difficulty. Many things can be tagged with that question, and it's also called tagging of the question. So you can tag the questions with many tags or classifications. Also, within the question banking, you can add feedback and explanations to the issue address, to the answers. So feedback and explanations can be added to a question bank. Also, you can track usage and analyze data from a question bank, and which is a very important benefit and feature. Also, it makes it easier for teachers to exchange questions. So if you have a question bank, you can very easily send it to someone and they can import it into their learning environment. So these are just examples of what are the benefits of question banking or banking, keeping an electronic question bank. Now, how is question banking done in Moodle? What are the features and how are the features used? What are the processes used within the question banking facility in Moodle? The question bank in Moodle, it's a question bank, but it has got three main categories, three main bank account packages, as you may call them. So you have these three levels. One for the system, for the whole system, for your Moodle. All the questions used within your environment in Moodle are kept in one large, they call it a category within the bank, or let's say a bank account for the whole system, and one for each course category. A course category is a category, a number of courses belonging to one aspect. For example, if you have all the courses in first year, you can create a course category called first year, and then you put all the courses. So for that category, you have a category, a banking category, a bank account package. And then you have a bank account or a category for each course. So you have three levels of question banking in the question bank. So these are the three levels. As you can see at the top, it's question category for course. The course is called for practice. And then you have for each, for the category courses to which this course belongs. And there is another category called teaching and learning. And then we have a question category for system, for the whole system. And as you can see, there is a default category for this particular course. But there is another one, it's called cardiovascular system, and under the default category for practice, you have another one called test category. So you have subcategory in the default one. Now, this one is created because the questions in this category were imported from a bank. So when you import a bank, it creates a separate category, not belonging. It is in the course, but it is not a subcategory of the default for the course. And as you can see here, there is default for courses, the category, and there are 0 questions there. And there is a default for teaching and learning category also. There is 0 there, and there is a default one for the system. So these are the 3 levels. Now, under the default category or the account, you can have a number of subcategories. Some smaller accounts under the default category. These can be added, and then questions can be added to the subcategories and which are automatically added to the default category. So if you have a default category for the course, then you add a subcategory in that course for the introduction, for example. When you add questions to introduction, they will automatically be added to the default category of the course. So they are kept in a subcategory and in the default category. So, for example, if you see here, under the default category for practice course, there are questions added directly to the default category, and there are questions added from the test category, which are 3. So we have 7 questions. 4 of them were added directly to the default category, and 3 of them were added to the test category and automatically added to the default category for the course. Now, to add questions to Moodle Question Bank, you need to use the course administration's menu, which is the cogwheel at the top right corner, just under your profile. So you click on that menu to access the bank. The bank is not in the list. You need to click on More, select the More button, and when you select the More button, then the elements of the bank are seen at the bottom of the complete course administration's menu. So when you see the whole menu, at the bottom you will see Question Bank, and it has got 4 levels, 4 tabs. It has got a tab for questions, it has got another tab for categories, another tab for import and export. So you can then see the 4 tabs. One tab for questions, and under that tab you do things related to questions, and there are categories, and there is import and there is export. So when you click on any of these items of the bank, a 4 tabs window is open, and once that window is open, you can deal with questions, you can deal with categories, you can import, and you can export. So in the questions tab, you can add questions to the default category or choose any other category if present. So you can start by clicking on a category, and you can click on create a new question in the default category directly. Now, these are the types of questions that can be added. It's a long list. So you can see multiple choice, true and false, matching, short answer. It's a long list. So this is a list of questions that can be added to a bank category in Moodle. Now, the question editor is straightforward and easy to use, very similar to Microsoft Word. So when you click on create a new question, it will open an editor, and that editor, anybody, when you look at it, you know what you can do. And by the way, people who use Moodle know this editor, and it's called the Auto editor, and they know what all these icons stand for. And there is actually explanation of each. When you find this question mark, you click on it, and then you can read about what you are expected to do in the editor. So it's very easy to use, and you can add answers, easy to use. I don't need to explain. Once you open it, you will know what to do. Now, if you want to create a new subcategory, you also start from the course administration's menu. And then you select category instead. In the first instance, we selected questions, but now we select categories from the question bank part. So from this part, we select categories, And then if we select categories, this tab will open. This is the tab, categories, and you will see the categories which are already there. And then you can click on add the category. So you select the parent category to which you want to add a subcategory, and then name your subcategory and click add category. And so you select the parent category. If you want it default for educational technology or whatever course, then you must give it a name. This exclamation mark in a red circle means this field is mandatory. You have to have a name for the subcategory. And then the subcategory will be added to the list. So it is there. So I created a category called testing subcategory. And of course it is new, it has got 0 questions, and it is under the default for educational technology. So in educational technology, there are 2 subcategories. Now to add questions to the bank, questions can be added in 3 different ways. When you add questions to a quiz, they will be added to the default category or the selected one. If you want to add it to a selected category, then you change the default. But when you click add a question to the quiz, it will be automatically added to a category, default category. But if you want, at that moment, you can change the category to which you want the question to be added, in addition to adding it to the quiz. So here there is a field for category, and by default it is category of the course, but you can click and select any other category for which you would like to add the question, which will be added to the multiple choice question, will be added to the quiz, and automatically can be added to the bank. Also, you can see the same types of questions found in the bank, they are found also when you add questions to the quiz. So by opening a subcategory, then adding questions similarly. I mean, you add questions to the quiz, will be automatically added to the category, or by opening the subcategory, then adding questions. So you open the subcategory, and then you click on create a new question inside the open subcategory. There is test category, there are 3 questions. Now I want to create a new one, and similarly I'm going to select the type, etc. Or the third way is by importing questions. You can import questions into a bank. So after you start the importing process from the tab, you select the file format from the list. A list will appear, and then the list means which file format you are going to use. So these are the 8 file formats found in Moodle: the icon format, the Blackboard, the embedded answers, the closed one, the exam view format, and so on. 8 formats. So you can drag and drop your file straight here, and then you click on import. So you start the importing process, you select the file format from the list, then you drag and drop the already prepared question file. When I say already prepared, if you're going to add it in an icon format, the file must be prepared in the icon format. So the icon format is plain text file with a special formatting, and these are the formatting features. So formatting a Word file for icon importation, no question numbers, you don't number the questions. The option number is in uppercase letters followed by a dot, for example, a dot, then a space. The answer is put under the question in the format answer, colon, then a letter for the key in capital also, and then you leave a space between questions. Now, the word answer must be in block letters, in capital letters, and the answer must be in block letters or capital letters. Then you leave a space between the question and between the questions, and then save the file as a plain text file. Now, this is how it looks like. The question must be all in one line. Each answer must start with a single uppercase letter, followed by a period, dot, or a right parenthesis, then a space. The answer line must immediately follow, starting with answer, with a space after the colon, and then give the letter for the correct answer. The word answer and the answer letter, A, B, C, D, must be capitalized as shown in this. And also you save it as a plain text, .txt, in the UTF-8 format. And this is how it looks like. This is the question, no numbering. The numbers are in capital, the options, the letters for the options are in capital letter followed by a dot. Of course, the right parenthesis can also be used in place of the dot, and then a space, and then the answer. Then the word answer, colon, space, then the correct letter, and all of this should be in capitalized. The same for true and false questions. Now, when you want to drag this type of file, you click on icon format, and as you can see, there is an exclamation mark, which means this is mandatory. You have to select the type, and then you drag and drop the file here, or you can click on choose, and then you browse and select the text file, and then you click import. Now, when the importing is done, click continue. When the importing is done, it will give you a report that the process is successful, and under that report you will have that word or the button continue. You have to click on that. So these are the important questions, and then you can click on continue. If you don't, then the importation will fail. So after you click, the questions in the file are imported into the active subcategory. When you started this importation, which category was there, the questions will be added to that active subcategory. Now, how do you bank questions in exam view? It is just an introduction because we would like to use it in Moodle. So we will just give highlights about exam view. Most important is the banking part. So the questions are added to exam view either through the test generator or the import utility. So we have two ways. There is a test generator utility and the import facility or utility. So if you start exam view and you see the two columns, one for the tests and one for the banks, you can create a new question bank. So you click on that, and once this is open, and then you start a new question, then you specify the type of the question, then an editor, very easy to use editor, very user-friendly. Everything can be explained through the help there, but you type the question, the answers, you click the right answer, you can give the rationale or explanation or feedback, whatever you call it, and then you click record. Record means save this question. And by the way, an important button or icon there is very important because this one is used for classification. It's called info. The info of the question. The info of the question. Information about the question. When you click on info, then you can specify the difficulty of the question, the reference from which the question is, the learning objective, the standards, which topic, any other keywords, any additional, any notes. So you can specify the info there. And if you have a link to multimedia, you can put it there. And then the points are allocated for that particular question, and then additional issues. Now, before using the import facility to add questions, the Word file needs to be formatted appropriately. So exam view accepts a specific format for importing questions. And this is the format. First, you name your test, or you name your bank. You put at the top a label that is going to be used for the bank. Then you label your question type. You put a label indicating the list of the following list of questions, and as you know, these are the different types accepted by exam view: the true and false, the modified true and false, the multiple choice, the multiple response, etc. Then you label the answers, and you must you label the answers. You make sure that you label the answers appropriately. Unlike the icon format, it is not important that the letters are in capital. It can be capitalized, they can be in small letters. Then after the question, you add ans, short for for answer, but it is A and S colon space after each question. The colon is very important, necessary. Then you add the letter for the answer. You do not include instructions in the file, and the number of questions must be consecutive. If you skip one, if you start numbering the questions 1, 2, 3, and then 7, or you forget 4 and then it's 5, you will have problems. And then you can set the font to Times New Roman, but you can do it with any other font. And then you group all the types of questions together. So if you say multiple choice, then you put all the questions under multiple choice. Then you can have another section for true and false, for short answer, for matching, etc. You can have different. So you format your file first, and then after you format it, for example, this is for the multiple choice question type, and this is a label there, and then number and the question followed by the options, and then A and S colon, and then the correct answer, the letter for the correct answer. Now, then after you format this file, the import facility is then used to import the questions into the file as a bank. The questions in the file, they can be imported as a bank given the name at the top. Now, it will be saved in the default or specified folder. It can be saved in the folder which is default for the banking software, or you can specify any folder and the bank will be saved in that folder. So once you start the import utility, you will have this. You will have 2 frames, and you will have 3 buttons for places or folders. So the lowest one is where you would like your banks to be saved, and by default it will pick the folder banks in exam view folder inside the program files. And this one is what you want to, this frame is what you want, which file you would like to import. And you select the file from this frame. So you can go up one level until you find the folder in which you have your ready file to be imported. And when you double click on it, it will go down to this. Now, by default, this is the folder for that. This is the folder now. But you can go up, and then the folder name will appear here. And then you select the file. You double click, or you click on the file and click select. It will be brought down there. And by the way, you can select a number of files, and they will be converted subsequently, consequently. So the first one will be converted into a bank, then the second one will be converted into a bank, and so on. And then you click next to proceed with. Now these are the files in this folder. Then I selected one, I double click, now it appears here, and then you keep clicking next until the file is imported, and say what it gave me there. It says 24 questions are expected, only 5 questions found. You need to go back until there are no reports about issues, until all the questions in your file are imported. Now, questions can be imported from tests, or banks can be exported so that they can be imported into Moodle or any other platform. So you can open a test or open a bank and then export them as Blackboard zipped files, whether they are the questions are in a bank or in a test. You can export them as Blackboard zipped files. So you go to, the bank is open, you go to file, you select export, and then you select Blackboard, and then you click and follow the steps. Then the zipped file is then imported, can be imported to Moodle in a way similar to importing icon files. And if you remember, we opened this import tab, and there, instead of clicking on icon, we click on Blackboard, and then we drag and drop the file there. And after the questions are imported, you click continue, and here the bank will be added as a bank, and it is not. It's a new category. It's a totally new category. It is not added to the courses category, the default one. It's a new category, and you will find it as a separate category.